Hey everybody, this is Matthew Solomon here, coach with MatthewSolomon.com, and this is part of my March meditation inspiration that I've been doing every day in March. Different meditation to show how easy and accessible and beneficial, how it doesn't need to take a lot of time. And actually one of the things that inspired me to do this is Govind and the Bhakti Yoga Shala, where I practice yoga as often as possible. I'd love to, if you would, just share a little bit about yourself. I mean, I'm honored to be here with you, and you as a teacher and friend, and somebody who's really been inspiring to me since I've been practicing here. I'm just really happy to have you here.
Great. Want me to talk about myself?
Yeah.
That's tough. Maybe ask me a question.
Yeah, I mean, how did you start the shop? Like, this is very different from any other yoga studio that I've been to, and just the community and the love and the vibe, and there's music and dance and all of that stuff. Like, where did all of that come from?
Well, we opened in 2009, June of 2009, which means we're heading into our 9-year anniversary coming up here in just a couple months. And I taught at many different studios around Los Angeles for many years, since the late 90s. And, always I was so touched by Bhakti and Kirtan and the practices of devotion, that I always just had a dream of creating a studio that was really dedicated to the practices of Bhakti Yoga. And it took quite a few years for myself and my wife to find the right place. And actually this particular space, it used to be a dance studio that my wife Radha used to take dance classes in. And I remember waiting for her a couple times, just right outside of these windows right here, and looking inside and saying, God, that would be a really nice little yoga studio right there. Yeah. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, there was a for lease sign right in the windows. So immediately I called the landlord, and it took about, interesting enough, on this little 1,000 square foot space, it took a year and a half to negotiate the lease. The landlords were very just careful with all of the whole thing, which is great. And so here we've been, and what a journey it's been. I mean, right now, just looking around, and the amount of mantra and hugs and tears and dancing and joy and celebration of life and friendships and community and trainings and kirtans and classes, and this place is just so charged up with energy and with juice. So it's a really, really special place. And I think I just told you 2 seconds ago, right when we walked in the door, I said, I made it. I made it through the sea of samsara, and I made it inside of these walls again, where I can come back home, and what a relief it feels like. Yeah. So, every day I walk in here as one person, and I feel like I walk out of these doors a different person, a better person, more connected, compassionate, loving, and just in that spirit of joy. So.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you. And one thing that's really amazing about this space is other yoga studios where it's wall-to-wall people, and everybody's kind of can be annoyed, or it just doesn't work, and it just works so well here. And there's such a sense of community and family and fun, and I got kicked in the head yesterday, but it was great. It's like we all hugged, and it was fine. Yeah. So it's awesome.
I forgot to say that yesterday. Don't kick your neighbor.
Yeah, right. There you go. Next time. In the spirit of March meditation, what would you like to lead us in today?
Well, I was thinking of a simple mindfulness-based meditation would be a nice way to go. Just do about 10 minutes, we'll go through the foundations really of what mindfulness is about. Mindfulness is this word and these practices that have just swept the world in the last 10 or 15 years. And it's being practiced in hospitals. Time magazine has a whole magazine dedicated to mindfulness. There's lots of studies that are going on, scientific studies showing us the benefits of mindfulness-based practices. So I figure it's a really nice place to start. And it's, I really feel like it's like a foundation of all spiritual practice, whatever your practice is, mantra-based meditation, asana, kirtan, whatever your practice is, mindfulness is always at the foundation of it. Because essentially, what is mindfulness but paying attention to this moment, right here, right now, not jumping into the future as the mental tendencies are, into the future, back to the past. No, we keep bringing ourselves right back here. Because this is where it's at. This is where it's at. This is where life exists in this moment, right here, right now.
Great. I'm excited to get into it. We're live on Instagram right now. We're going to be on Facebook. My daughter is actually on my Instagram. So, hi, Sadie. And you're a father, and so this is really great. So, cool. Whenever you're ready.
Sounds good. So, the first thing always is just to establish your seat, right? Your seat. And if you notice that I have a meditation cushion underneath me, and I always find that elevating the hips as high as we need to so that we can find this, what's commonly called a triangular base, right? This base between the sitting bones, the thighs, the calves, and the feet, this nice triangle, so that the knees can rest down towards the floor, and the hip flexors and the hips don't feel so tight. When you have that elevation, the pelvis tilts forward slightly, we can just sit very naturally with an erect spine. So however high you need to lift yourself up so that the knees can drop down towards the floor. Of course, if you need to shove a few blocks under each leg, or blankets or cushions just to create that support, totally fine. Right, and so there's that duality of directions here. One is the surrendering down into the earth, and at the same time that there's that downward movement, we're lifting up towards the sky. So the sits bones drop down, the heart rises up, the shoulders drop down, and then the crown of the head lifts up. And then we can bring our hands to the knees, and we can touch our index fingertips and thumb tips together, very commonly what's called Gyan Mudra. The word Gyan means wisdom. And we're going to just notice that our chin is parallel to the floor, so we're not dropping the chin down or certainly not lifting the chin up. It's parallel to the floor. Nice long quality in the back of the neck, shoulders back and down. So we take that time always just to consciously find our seat. And then once we found it, we can allow our eyelids to gently seal shut, our lips to gently seal shut as well too. And if you're meditating at home with us, which I certainly invite you to, see if you can begin to find your breath. Okay. So you're breathing in and out through your nose. And very important, this is not pranayama practice, where we're not trying to alter the breath, but we're just allowing the breath to be as natural and effortless as possible. Very simple. As I breathe in, I feel that I'm breathing in. I'm aware that I'm breathing in. I open up to the in-breath. And as I breathe out, I feel the breath out. I'm aware that I'm breathing out. And I open up to the energy of the out-breath. control the breath. We're not trying to alter the breath. We're just allowing the breath to be as it is. Attention drifts away from my breathing. I get lost in the whirlwind of thought, in the future, in the past. I notice how my mind wants to cling on to certain thoughts and experiences, or push away certain thoughts and experiences. I notice the tendency of my mind just to go into a whole fantasy. As I notice that I've lost my breath, I gently but firmly, this is how I train myself, I point my attention just back to my breathing. As I breathe in, aware that I'm breathing in. As I breathe out, I feel the breath out. My attention drift away from the breath. I gently but firmly come back and rest in my breathing again. And there's this great teaching. It says, what's less important is how many times we lose the breath. What's more important is the remembering to come back to it. Every time we remember to come back to the breath, it's like we strengthen this inner muscle. It can be related in so many ways, that remembering to come back to breath, that remembering to come back to faith, that remembering to come back to love, that remembering to come back to compassion, that remembering to come back to presence. This metaphor has been used so frequently in the Dharmic tradition to train the mind to stay with the breath is like training a puppy dog to sit next to you. You sit the puppy dog next to you, what does it do? It wants to run away. You sit it down again, it runs away again, over and over. You sit it down, it runs away, just like the mind. Bring it back to the breath, it runs away. Bring it back to the breath, it jumps forward or back. Eventually, as the puppy dog matures, it's able to sit for longer periods of time, right next to you in the same exact way. As the practices of mindfulness begin to mature, we're able to hang in the present moment for longer periods of time, sustain present moment awareness. As I breathe in, I'm aware that I'm breathing in. As I breathe out, I'm aware that I'm breathing out. gift, the sacred gift that life is. Take an inhale through the nose, and we say namaste to namaste. One last thing as you come out of your meditation, we're always remembering to just slowly, we don't want to just jump off of our cushion and start racing around again. The question always is can we take some of this peace and mindfulness and presence just back into our worldly lives and not be so quick just to jump into our old stories. So thank you so much. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you. Thanks for. Before we finish up, where can people reach you and find out more information?
Well, you can go to our website here, which is bhaktiyogashala.com. Instagram, Bhakti Yogashala. My personal Instagram is Govindas108. Govind.das.108. So.
Awesome. I'll put all that in the comments so people can click on it. And you can reach me at coachwithmatthewsolomon.com. And this is, I forget what the date is actually, but
it's March
19th? Okay. So I'm doing a meditation video, different meditation every day in March, and I'm so honored that you were here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining.